Welcome, friends. And I see you, Brian. Man, I've been trying to get some time to give you a call, and I apologize. I know the situation's dire, and we'll if you're ready afterwards, we'll try to get you right after our conversation this evening, if possible. Hey, guys, welcome. Let's see. I think I've got a friend here. Let's see what happens. Dum 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 dum. Hey, is this a ceiling fan man?
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought this was Amazon Returns. I was trying to return something. Did I call the wrong number?
My bad. Is this are you like a Vortex fan or what?
How's it going, guys?
Hey man, hey, I'm doing well. Hey, welcome.
I'm trying this on my phone because some people wanted to watch sports ball when my kids came over, so it's really quiet. I might try to I don't know. Oh, we'll just go with it. But
okay.
Just how's everyone doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. I was disappointed because I had sent an email to you or a message earlier in hopes that you might respond. I was trying to get you to send me over some of your delightful recordings of the Heart to Heart with Ceiling Fan Man themes, because the audio quality would be better if I played it from here, so it'd go through this system rather than. But now you're on your phone, so I can't even get you to pitch them at me on cue. I'm gonna have to figure something out here. All right.
I'm so untechnically qualified to do anything like that.
I know. That's why we had these heart to hearts. So we did not previously discuss what the content would be. However, we did, during our conversations, as we again mentioned, was it last night? And we have mentioned numerous times, very often when Ceiling Fan Man and I talk, we'll get 2/3 of the way through and go, we should have just recorded this, right? This is exactly the kind of conversations that we would love to share is, just whenever you heard a snort. Yeah, I know. Sorry about that. Would I say the laughter is genuine? I'm not kidding. We're easily amused around these parts. But anyway, yeah, heart to heart with the Ceiling Fan Man. So I thought what we might do today, my friend, is let's see if I get a copyright strike for this. Well, let's see how far I can get here. Are you ready? We're going to ask this question. You know what the question that is?
What is it? I'm supposed to ask a question?
No, this is the question. Here we go.
Wait, you're cutting out.
Oh, okay. The question is... Oh, dear. Okay, wait. Oh, no. Oh, dear. I think I lost him with that. So the question, again, we're trying to find out today... What is love? That's the question. All right, so let's see if we can get Ceiling Fan Man back in the line. And for the final Jeopardy question, you must baby, don't hurt me. And what is the question?
1964. When was 1964? Was that the question? I have no idea what we're doing.
I think Belicious got it in the chat. The question is, let's see. Well, I'm gonna risk getting my channel.
Baldini, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I got cut off. I didn't hear anything.
I know you totally got cut off. All right, so here's what we're going to do is I'm going to try this again, see if you can hear this. This is the question for the day. Let's see if you can get the audio cue one more time. I'm risking getting my channel completely pulled here. So.
Oh no.
Let's see here.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
Okay, you got it? Did you get it?
I heard nothing. It was just...
Oh, that's right. You don't get... Okay, that's because the way I have this set up. You don't hear that. Okay, so I was playing a little bit of... What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. All right, so...
I would have been shaking my head if that was the case.
Well, there you go. So I thought we'd ask this glorious question. What is love. We are told that love, love fulfills the entirety of the law. That's what we're told in the New Testament. And we're also, there's a lot of indications about love. We have 1 Corinthians 13. We have, in fact, Jesus says, these are the biggest commandments, right? Love God with all your heart, all your strength, all your soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. So what is love? What is that?
And within that, see, I always add the third one, because love thy neighbor as thyself. Don't forget to love yourself. We're taught totally constantly on the Tell Eyes Vision. Oh, hate your body image, hate your hair, hate this, hate that. Don't look in the mirror and see something beautiful, God's gorgeous creature. No, look at something you need to fix and change and shape and stick stuff into your lips and put on makeup and all these things that we have to do to make ourselves look better.
That was
love yourself.
That was one of the biggest, I think one of the biggest realizations for me I'll go back. So about 16 years ago, I kind of had this, tweak where I thought, so I read where Jesus said, he goes, I tell you the truth, the Son can do nothing without the Father, and I only do what I see the Father do, right? And I got in this implication, right, that he's saying, follow me, right? So only do what you see the Father do, right? Don't say, hey, bless what I'm doing. Say, what are you doing? And then I'll do that, right? And so I learned if you want to make sure that you're in the center of God's will, find out what He's doing and go there. Right? And don't say, hey, I'm going to do this, bless it, right? Because again, if you want to hear God laugh, just make plans and tell Him about it. Ceiling Fan Man and I were talking last night. I got to share this story about how our experience, and we're not the only ones to have this experience, but it's kind of funny, is that the surest way. Well, I'll have to back up, so I back up even a little bit more. I've been very fond of saying that my experience with Dad is that all he wants is everything, right? And it's not because he's greedy. What he wants to do, and this is what he told me. He says the reason that this hurts, right? This is what's going on. Is I'm just trying to remove the parts from you that I didn't make. Right, all those self-made man that you're so proud of, well, those are just unhealthy coping mechanisms. I can't really use that. So all I'm trying to do is get rid of those things that I didn't make, and the only reason it hurts is because you don't want to let go. Right? Ouch, man. And he's right. So, all right. So I learned this thing that what he wants is everything that anything that you hold on to with a grip and you don't want to let go of is hindering your ability to receive everything from him, right? And so the tighter your hand is clenched, it creates an inability for you to open your hand to receive anything more. And so I learned, I told him I should have learned this lesson really early on, because it was really when I was a kid. One of the things that we had family chores, right? And so I was the youngest of three kids, and so weekly we got to switch around. But I hated the dishes week. I just hated it because we always ate dinner together, and so we couldn't watch TV until after dinner. Well, that changed later, but for that period of time, if it was a big dinner and you were slow washing the dishes, there was a lot to do. You really didn't get a chance to watch TV after dinner because everybody go watch TV, and then you got to wash the dishes, and then it's time for homework and bed. And I hated it. And so I took a vow, like all stupid kids do. And I said, I will never get a job where I have to wash dishes. Very first job I got at the age of 14, like 3 years later, washing dishes. And so I learned very quick, or at least I should have learned, that if the surest way to ensure something's going to happen in your life is to say, God, I'll do anything but that. I'll never do that. And so I said, if you want to go to Africa, surest way to get there is to go, Dad, I'll do anything you want except for go to Africa. Well, you might as well buy a ticket because you're going. And this is the way that I see Dad work. Right, is that all he wants is everything. He just wants to take away those parts that get between you. And I've seen this with, for example, musicians who become, I don't know, they get in a relationship with Dad, and they think they're going to start playing. I'm going to play music for God, right? And almost invariably, without almost no exceptions I've seen, they have to lay it down first. They can't use it because it's part of what makes them them. And Dad can't use that. And so they have to lay it down and then later pick it back up. See, it's nothing wrong with the thing. There's nothing bad about the music. There's nothing bad about those things. It's just that if it's in the way, it becomes an idol, right? And you can't do that. So
Yeah,
anyway,
the Ten Commandments, like literally the first three are know who I am. Don't have any other idols. Just talk to me. Drop all these idols, right? We got Hollywood idols. Right now we got sports ball idols. The whole world, the fake world, is filled with idols. And God's just like, stop it already.
yep.
Look at the nonsense going on. Get rid of this stuff. Just talk to me. That's what you're right. He's saying. He's not saying, I'm jealous or no. Well, he says he's jealous, but it's just because they're nothing. I was talking to Dave, Trinity 4, and he said this brilliant thing. He's like, if I built a playground for my kids, I wouldn't want them going up to the slides saying, thank you for being here. Hopefully they'd say, thanks, Dad, for making this for me. You know what I mean? It's just
Oh
like that.
yes. Oh, I worship the swing set. Oh, the almighty
Yeah,
swing set,
yeah.
or the great mother roundabout. Right.
Right.
She
Round
brings
it
us.
goes. It doesn't know how it got there.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Exactly. It's the ground clock. Right. We worship the ground clock, and that'll tell us everything that we need to know. Forget about the architect who put the who put the playground
Yeah.
in. Right.
Worship the sun. Who made the sun? Don't ask any more questions. What?
Mm-hmm.
That whole thing. Who made the chicken or the egg? Which is first? God. That's how I answer that one.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. That's a
Whatever he chose, let him choose. I don't care what he made first, but he did it.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, right. I mean, that's really a foul question. I gotta say.
Nice. I see what you did there.
Yeah, well, birds of a feather, I gotta tell you. All right, so I want to share a couple of things here, I guess. So about, well, in fact, let me not start there. I'm going to start. Where do I want to start?
And yes, the rooster came first. That's really funny.
Yeah, right. Well, the poppycock. That's what.
The rooster
Yeah.
came first. Dude, whoever wrote that, Abe's nice.
Right. Exactly. I've I've seen a funny cartoon with a chicken and an egg sitting in bed, and the egg is smoking a cigarette, and the chicken says, "Well, I guess that answers that." Well, I'm telling you what. Anyway,
Turn it for scripture. Nice. Okay, let's go.
yeah, let's. All right.
Well, it is sort of scripture.
So it's sort of scriptural tonight, right? Anyway, so this is these are the questions, right? So I became fascinated with again the words of Jesus, and he said, "I only do what I see the Father do." And I tell you the truth, the Son can do nothing without the Father. And I got this implication from that, right? That when he said, "Hey, all the things that you do or that I do, you'll do this and more because I send you the Comforter, I send you the Spirit." And as a result, he's implying, I think, that not only can we do the things that he did, the miracles with trust, but also that we have the same access directly to Dad that he had, and that sense of belonging, right? And this incredible love. And so what I began to try to do at that point was, he's saying, love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind. Love your neighbor as yourself. And I quickly understood by this point, right, understanding that it's the relationship and not religion, but that this was going to be the challenge, is to learn to love. Well, first I thought it was to learn to love others. I already felt like I loved God, right? And then I was like, oh, I got to love the unlovable. And then what he really hit me with is, I'm telling him, well, God, teach me to love you more. And he said, you can't. And at first I was like, oh, cool. That means, I love him with all my heart. And he says, no. He goes, you can't. And the reason for that, dude, is because you don't trust me. And I was like, what? I've got, faith. And he's like, no. He says, the problem you see is that your only experience with love is abandonment. And you're convinced that when you do something wrong, I will leave you and forsake you. And you can't love me that way. I promise you I will never leave you. And it broke my heart. And it took me quite a while to recover from the truth of that. That it was true that I did. And I began to understand slowly that everything that I knew of love was mistaken. I did not really truly understand what love was because, again, I can't blame it on anybody. I can't say, oh, it's my parents' fault or anything like that. I mean, we have, it's a broken world, and people do their best, and everybody wants love. But what I found was that all of us, and me in particular, had a very skewed understanding, a misunderstanding of what love is, and that love is happiness and fulfillment. And it was from that point that he began changing my view about love. It took me a number of years, probably because I'm pretty hard headed, to understand the nature of love. And I mean, I suppose I can cut to the chase here and I could either walk you through the process, but I can come to the end because I went through this whole process of going, okay, love is a decision, right? Something that you choose. It does not matter about your feelings. It's a choice, and that didn't feel right. And so I kept going through these things and looking at the way Jesus behaved toward others and looking at the description. And I should have gotten it sooner, but I didn't. And again, it took Dad to sit down and tell me directly. And he said, you know, the reason you're so confused is that you're trying to define love. And he goes, don't you get it yet? And I'm kind of like, apparently not, right? I'm confused. And he says, you don't understand. Love is not a thing. Love is not an emotion. Love is a person. And his name is me. Oh man, and that was heavy, right? And so once I put that together, that love is a person, and it's Dad. He is the very definition of love. Once that took hold in my heart, changed my world to be able to understand the meaning of that. And suddenly, when I read all the scriptures that deal with Dad, it opened my eyes to see his motivation. And this is where I came up with, if love is not the motive, God is not involved. Because that's who he is. He is the very definition of love. It blows my mind, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I just like, oh. So tonight I thought we would just kind of discuss this and what made
Well,
that.
you know what I find interesting too is, you know how they always try to misdirect us like some, crazy magician. And so what are we taught the opposite of love is hate.
Right.
But no, I think hate is completely made up. We're made to hate each other. That's made by the beast system. The opposite of love is fear. Because
Absolutely.
the entire fake world runs off of fear. Everything done to us is run off of fear. What's the thing God says more than anything in the Bible? Have no fear but me. What does that mean? Oh, well, how can you love a God that makes you want to fear him? No, like a father that wants to protect his children. I believe we live in a surface that's covered by some type of, say, electrical dome, field, whatever you want to call it, to protect us. And so his promise to us is fear nothing because I'm in charge of everything. If you know who I am, I got your back. I mean, it's like I described if you have that Super Mario game, and Super Mario's fighting all the different things, and he gets to the end, the big villain, I forget his name every time. You think I'd know it by now. But that monster that he fights. Well, what if instead of fighting that monster, Mario pulls out a cell phone and he calls the programmer that's writing the code and says, hey, can you get rid of that guy? And get rid of him. So it's like, that's how I see it, is that if you can make that connection to the creator, you're kind of outside this crazy system. And he's got your back. He says, I know your name. I got you. We're going to have to shake things out because a lot of these people around you don't know what the hell's going on. And as the way I see it, if you don't mind me ranting for another second here, we were constantly, I read the Bible my first time through a few years back, and I was even complaining to Mrs. Stealing man that the children of Israel, as they call them, they were being saved, and then they forget God, and they get enslaved, and they cry out, and they forget He saved them, and they forget Him, and on and on and on. And you were just discussing a wonderful discussion, by the way, you and Beth Martins. I really enjoyed it, and you were talking about Babylon and Mystery Babylon and all that. I've said forever since I've woken this stuff up, I think we're all in Babylon. I think it covers whatever prison area that we're allowed to live in. And you can prove that because there's freaking, what do you call it, pyramids popped up all over the place. There's hieroglyphics. I think even in England, they got like a sphinx and stuff. So it's like, it's everywhere letting us know it's on the back of your dollar.
Yeah, it's a system.
So we're still enslaved by Babylon. Yep. And what does he say? I got caught up in Jeremiah because there's prophets in the Bible if you read them. And this one, he distinctly in 29 to 33, he talks about during these times, stay out of Babylon, hunker down, keep growing and advancing and raising families and knowing who he is, and he'll take care of you. Everything's got to shake out, and then he's going to write a new covenant because we screwed up the last one because we keep forgetting him. And he says, I'm some husband sitting here and you guys are all trolling around, and that's not right. So he's going to start a new one, but he's got to shake out all the wheats and tares first, and then we get a new one. That's the way I see it.
Well, yeah, certainly it is a Babylon system. So Bowser is the name of the Super
Yes.
Mario guy, and it's interesting. I don't know if you can see this, but I found it interesting that he's a reptilian. So
Of course he is.
well, of course he is, right? So
With horns. Probably Batman pictures of him somewhere.
yes, of course he is. So no, that is one of the better. The better analogies that I've heard is that again in the game it's very difficult, almost impossible to beat. But the architect of the game has no problem. He can just boop,
Yeah.
push the button, and the enemy is gone. You have nothing to fear. And I agree. This is something that I came to, and again, that was a big enlightenment thing for me. And I came to it, through just study of Scripture and kind of putting things together. That the opposite of love is not hate, but rather fear. And
Right.
because the first thing that almost every time that an angelic visitor would show up, the very first things they say is, "Be not afraid, fear not," right?
Right.
And God did not give us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and of sound mind. And then when I kind of put together and learning developmental psychology, and that that newborn babies, the only emotion that they can experience in its fullness is fear, not love or hate or any real emotion other than fear, because the other things are too complex. But fear comes natural, and that immediately led me to going, that is, I don't know if you want to call it original sin or the sin nature. It is fear. It's fear that drives us between that and sort of the limbic system of judgment, that so we become the arbiter of good and evil, and that is again a tree of knowledge of good and evil. So those are the things. So when people go, the idea of original sin disgusts me. Well, I mean, I can understand if you had it presented in a way that the Catholic Church, I suppose, throws it at you. But when you understand that what they did allowed this to happen, and then we are damaged, we're poisoned, right? It altered our DNA. And so it's not your fault that it happened. So it's not, is a newborn baby sinful? Of course not. But it is damaged. It is, in fact, mortally wounded from birth, because we're born under the curse of evil. And there's nothing you can do about that, right? You can try to become a better person. You might even to some degree succeed, but you can never become what you were meant to be without what Jesus says, being born again, without having your nature changed. And the only way to do that is to make connection with the Creator Himself, to have Him give you a new spirit, to create in me a new heart, right? And to take out this heart of stone and replace it with a heart of flesh. And so these are the things that I have tried to focus on throughout the last couple of decades, is the idea of love and loving my neighbor, and understanding that those who are the most unlovely are the most in need of our love, because they are starving for it. And much like a starving dog, they're going to be dangerous without it. But if you can find a way to express love to those who are unlovely, you will see remarkable results, and it changes lives. And I can tell you for certain it has changed my life, to go from a person who vacillated wildly between ego and insecurity, and one day, like David, one day king of the world, and the next day I'm a worm. I went through a lot of that, and many artists and musicians do. I've been a worship pastor in the past, and dealing with people, and especially it's awkward in a Christian church kind of setting, because there is this again, this sort of mindset, especially within church. If you're like on the worship team, a musician or whatever, if you're an artist, when people say, "Hey, good job," you're supposed to go, "Oh, give God all the glory," right? If you repaired their car, they'd say not only thank you, but you'd pay them, right? And they wouldn't go, "Give God all the glory," right? They'd thank you, because they're a good mechanic. So why is it wrong for a musician? There's all praise and worship, and people get so caught up in this. It's like, man, if you do a good job, if you put effort into it, what's wrong with giving thanks to that person, right, for offering up their gifts? And so but you often see this wild vacillation, again, especially in the artist types, between ego and insecurity. And I think it's common to humanity, is that we go back and forth and we often overcompensate. And you certainly see this in, the short guys syndrome, right? The really short guys, they get big ego and get all puffed up because they're overcompensating. You see guys with, big pickup trucks, and you feel very sorry for their wife. Okay, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying, though.
I'm just letting you go for it.
You know what I'm saying, right? But no, we have a tendency to overcompensate and to put ourselves into, well, I guess here's the bottom line, right? Is that we know we're broken, and we understand. I think this is the hardest part, is loving yourself, right? Genuinely, and not in a narcissistic kind of love, and not in a unhealthy way, but to give yourself grace. How many times have you forgiven yourself for making mistakes? Super hard to do, because you know that you screwed up. Or conversely, all the ways of a man are clean in his own eyes. Not my fault. If you only knew, right, it was okay for me to do these bad things, because we don't have a very healthy relationship with ourselves generally, and it makes it impossible to have it with others. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I honestly feel the more I look into my relationship with God, I believe I was given a voice because of everyone's unique in their path, but my uniqueness, the fact that since I was raised Jewish, we didn't believe in the Bible or Jesus. So when I decided to look into it in a spiritual way, it was completely organic. I didn't have the book. I created my relationship without it. I then added it because, I feel that there's a lot of good information. I've learned so much from it. But that's why when people try to convince me, that book was written by man and it's been grabbled and it's been changed, I get that. Mandela effects even messed it up. I get that. But the God I believe in, that's outside of time and space and everything, I know that his message can still get through there, because I've learned so much and grown so much from the readings of it. And I also know that one day it says that it'll be a hunger for that word, because it won't be available. So I'll read it as much as I can, as long as I'm available. It's available to me. But that's where I realized that the people that almost, not that I made fun of them, but we all do in our minds, like they're friends that were really into God and Jesus and all that, and you thought they were kind of out there. And now I totally get them. It's funny, and everyone else thinks I'm out there now. So, but when you actually feel it and it enters you, it's undescribable that it really happens. And so I think maybe I was given a voice because I can come from a place saying, I didn't believe in any of this, and look at me now after a year. That's all I can talk about. Why? I'm not trying to convert people. I don't get anything from it other than when I find out something and it's working for me, I want other people to know, people like-minded in my family and whoever wants to listen. Because otherwise, you're what the other side is. They get information and they hold it and they hoard it and they don't share it. That's why we're in this messed up position we're in.
Right.
So when you find out something, you just have to speak out. It's not like I have a choice. I have to do it. So.
And I have a confession to make, actually.
No, not on air.
Yeah, I'm going to do it because I think it's good to be honest. And I have said on many occasions, and rightly so, and this part is honest. I would say that that when I share my experience with Dad, it is not an attempt to convert or to convince anyone. I'm just sharing my experience. And as you said, if I find something that I think works or could be helpful to someone, and they express interest, of course I'm going to share that. But I do. My confession is that even in light of that, our conversation last night, as we were sharing that certain people we know are maybe starting to get it a little bit, and the thrill and excitement of that, and the sheer joy of that was thrilling. So I have to say, is there nothing in it for me? That's not the point, I suppose, or it's not why I would share it. But I cannot deny that there is a thrill like no other when you see.
Well, I agree, but I'll tell you something. Something's been happening in the last, say, 48 hours, because it started the other day, and I got invited within 15 minutes, I was on a show with Dave Trinity Four, and we had a wonderful conversation. And then I got off of that, and you were doing a show, I guess, with Beth, and then I found out that oh no, I'd done a show the night before, and a guy named Monograph had a whole bunch of people, and they room rated me.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And it was jump in and say God bless you and love, and it was just like the swell of emotion, and this energy kept flowing. And then I showed up on a show I'm not normally on, and you're on a show, and it's almost like God's having us fish in different ponds, because I've met a lot of new people that didn't know who I was, and I know you're getting that too. So whatever's happening, you know how we always on these truth channels, we talk about, oh, watch out, this date, that's going to be a dark day. They're going to do all their satanic da-da-da-da-da, right? Well, you know what? Damn it, I think we're in some God time right now, because there's so much positive energy happened in the last few days. I know you felt it. Maybe people in the chat have. But let's run with that, right? We use the same ether they do. So let's charge it full of love. That's the opposite. That's what the enemy hates. We give way too much power to whoever you want to call him, Satan, Lucifer. I don't care what you call him. We give him way too much power, because guess what? He's under God's rule too. So there's so many more of us. Beautiful beings, beautifully broken beings, as you've said, but yes, and we have so much power. Let's just start sending that out there. The opposite of fear is love, and we know it.
Well, I can't deny that there has been, for me, certainly, I guess, energy of that type, just overwhelmed with love. I guess I just thought it was some of the responses I was getting from emails and reports from people who were having breakthroughs in their life. And I got so excited, and sharing it with you and hearing some of your stories as well. It's just like, oh God, yes, right? I'm so just, and I was reminded of a psalm where I'll see if I can find it here in a moment. But you know what I need? Can you can you rant for a minute? I'm desperate for some drink. My mouth is so dry, and I didn't bring anything.
I don't know if I can fill air. We'll try.
All right, so I think you can probably get that. So yeah. Anyway, you know what? I'll share this before I go, because this is the part that I really wanted to share. I was reminded of a verse in Zephaniah where it says that the Lord God is in the midst of you. He is mighty, and He will save you, and He rejoices over you with joy, and He rejoices over you with singing, and He dances over you in love. Can you imagine the Creator dancing because He loves you? It blows my fucking mind. Just, okay, thinking of His voice freaks me out. Him singing and dancing.
Mate.
All right, you carry on. I got to get some liquid. I'll be right back.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Oh, and I saw Zulu one in the chat. Hey, I brought monographs to your channel yesterday. Same thing. It's such a beautiful thing. I've done it before with Lifting the Lid, but he's no longer got a channel. So shout out to him if he's around. But yeah, this whole thing about the Baldini mentioned the beautifully broken, and that's the thing. It's like they try to beat us down to not like what we see in ourselves. And I know my first time and I don't think I've ever spoken directly, like face to face Moses time with God. I know for me it's Jesus. It's the in between, because I feel the times that I have had conversations. I almost, and Baldini's talked about his experience, I feel almost ashamed and unworthy, because if someone's perfect, and I know I'm flawed, it's really difficult. And so, but then once you start realizing that the Creator, He loves you, that's all he is love. He doesn't care. He knows where you're at in life. He knows what's happened through your life.
It's
not
naked.
like you're hiding something from Him. It's not like He didn't know that happened to you, whatever. He was right there. So then you say, well, then how come He didn't get me out of that, this, that, and the other? Well, you know what? If He doesn't allow you to figure these things out and have missteps and stuff in life, you'll never grow. You'll never become the person that He knows you can be. And so, yeah, we all have hardships. I'm going through some now. Everyone is. This whole nonsense is affecting everyone. Yeah. But you have to understand, you're still alive, because the devil, or whoever you want to call him, he can't kill you. Only God brings you in and takes you out. He's the only one. So when you're gone, when it's your day, that means whatever you were supposed to do is over, it's finished. And so when I look at it that way, and knowing that God's the one that's going to take me out, then I know it's his decision. So I'm going to go with it. I don't plan on it, or hopefully anytime soon, but I'm not a fear of it anymore. That's again, fear nothing. If God's the one that's going to take you out, he's got you. He's going to be there. So why do all these bad things happen? I can't answer that one. That one's on everyone's individual path. You learned something from it, but you didn't die. And eventually you're at a point where you've got food, shelter, and a little bit of money to be on the internet. So whoever's here, we're all doing okay. And the reason that you're here, your eyes have been open. To what extent, I don't know. But you have to understand, you got two choices. This is a crazy time to be. If you're aware of it, you've either chosen it yourself, which good way to go, or God chose you. But that means that he saw something in us that maybe we don't even see in ourselves. So we just figure it out as we go along and ask for his help, because that's what he's there for. Have I ranted long enough? Are you back?
No, you did great. No,
Oh.
you were right. Yeah, I don't know. You were right in the middle of it, and you said he knows just how we are. I'm like, yeah, he's seen you naked. He knows. He knows where all the
He
warts
saw
are.
what you did on that time in Vegas.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
knows.
Exactly. So no, it's true though that he does not. Well, as you said, or I'll just springboard off that. Is that he? If you are here right now, I mean, you should be excited. Yeah, it seems crappy, right? But he promises. This is the best part to me of having a relationship with Dad, is that he promises again, I'll never leave you or forsake you. He's got it, right? So it doesn't matter how bad things get. You're always in his hand, and if it's happening, it's because he's allowing it, not he maybe
Right.
not because he brought you bad things, but you're in his will. If you continue to stay in relationship with him and continue to, I know it's a weird word, surrender your will to him or let him choose for you, then you're never going to be in a place that you're not supposed to be. And so no matter what happens, even if it's uncomfortable or dangerous or painful or terrifying, he's always there. And so at the end of the day, even if they take my life, and in the conversation with Beth, I pointed out that it seems like that's what Revelation says, is that those who follow Dad are going to be targeted for extinction if they can, but there is a limit to that. He won't, there's a limit to it. But there is going to be a lot of people who are martyrs. It says that they did not love their lives even unto the death. So there will be those who are. That is their journey, right? Is to end that way. But from what I read, and I explained it, if you haven't heard it, I adjure you to go check out the conversation I had with Beth yesterday, because I think it's important stuff to know, or at least to think about. I can't say I know it. It's there, and it's the way I'm reading it right now in Revelation. But it does seem as though there is a limit, and there's a hard limit to how many people the enemy can take. It's supposed to be this whole battle is supposed to be free will, right? The battle for your heart and soul, and we've said that over and over. But from time to time, like the Christians in the Colosseum, right? They took their lives. They didn't give them the opportunity to choose one way or the other. Well, they were given the opportunity, and they chose in a way that was dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. And so rather than let them continue or try to tempt them out of it, they took their lives. Well, that's against the rules. And so it seems to be a hard number, right? This is what it says at the opening of the fifth seal in Revelation. It says that at the opening of the fifth seal, the soul, I saw the souls under the throne of God, and they asked, Lord, faithful and true, how long until you judge the world? How long until you give them some comeuppance? How long until you bring vengeance for us? And he said, a little while longer, until the full number of your brothers and sisters who will die like you is complete. He gave them a white robe and said, but a little longer, right? And so it is, once that number is fulfilled, right? I think that what I'm reading there is that is what changes, because immediately thereafter, then there's great joy in heaven. It says now God takes back the keys to the world, right? He takes the deed. Okay, now I rule again. You're done, and so that seems to be a part of it, and that there will be. A large number of martyrs, which again makes me very concerned for those who believe in a pre-tribulation rapture, because they're looking to get out without any trouble. And I don't think that's
you can't do that, because it said scripturally that everyone will be held accountable to their actions and will have correction accordingly. So because of that, oh, by the way, has anyone else in the chat got Kansas in their mind now? Because he kept singing "How Long" to the point of no return. Anyways,
How
um,
long?
he kept singing, but
It's all
he
dust in
said
the
we'll
wind.
all be held accountable. So honestly, now that I've woken up and know who he is, that scene in the Matrix where Cypher goes back and has a fake steak, you can't do that. I don't know how you do that. Once you know God exists and he knows who you are, just like, what was it, Cain and Abel, where he's like, hey, where's your brother? He's like, screw if I know. I don't know. You find him. You know
Am
what I
I
mean?
my
It's like,
brother's keeper?
he knows what you did. He saw you. Adam and Eve couldn't hide in the bushes. So it's like, at some point, once you figure out God exists, and then you turn your back on me, you say, screw it, I'll go my own way. Well, there's some famous people that kind of run this world that seem to have done that. That's not working out so well for them eventually. So that's how I see it. It's like, once you know he's there, how do you not talk to him? How do you not thank him? How do you not say, what's your plan? Right? I'm going to be in a car. It reminds me of The Office, that episode where he's driving and the computer tells him to turn right and he goes into a lake. That'd be me. God's driver, Jesus, is sitting next to me and I'm driving. And he's like, hey, you need to go straight. And I'm like, no, I'm going right, Jesus. I know what I'm doing. You know what I mean? It's like, you're going to try to tell God the plan that's better than his.
You know,
I've done it so many times like you have. And every time I go, oh, man. And I just know I look up there and he's up there just laughing and pointing his finger at me. I told you so, but you didn't want to do it my way. So now what? Yeah. See?
more often than not, what I'm guilty of is that instead he'll go, hey, go over there. And I look up and I'm like, oh, a mountain. All right, I'm going to go climb that mountain. And I go, ramming at the mountain. I get halfway up the mountain and I'm bruised and bleeding and tired. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're not helping me over the mountain. He's like, I never told you to climb the mountain, dumbass. I said, go that direction. I was trying to take you around the quicksand. You stopped listening, right? And so I get ahead of it. And so I try to listen. I've learned to try to stay, again, where I'm supposed to be. And often you can get out there, and when you do feel alone, one of the best pieces of advice that I got from a really wise friend of mine is, when you're not sure what to do, go to the last thing you were sure to do, you were certain about, and do that until you get something new, right? So if you don't know what to do, if you're uncertain, go to the last time you were absolutely sure that you had clear direction on what to do and do that. And that was helpful because I do have a tendency to get a little excited, right? And so that's, for example, in this in this poppy cult thing, the idea of leaving Washington State and going somewhere, and it seems to be the Southeast is where we're nudged. I can't say for sure, but it does seem to be that's where it's headed. And so I could, just try to, pack up now and make it happen. But what I get a sense of is to be ready, get things prepared, get ready to do it. And so I am trying to consolidate and get rid of a few things and take care of all the things that would be necessary to do that, and make sure that we're in a position that we can go at a moment's notice and keep my eyes open and develop the community that's going to be necessary to do it. And so that's what I'm working on, rather than trying to go, okay, I got this. You want you want me to start a cult? Right on. I mean, I use the cult as a joke. I don't know if you guys, most of you have been following along. The usual suspects here will get it. That the troller coasters say, we're doing a cult because we want to do communal living. We want to get together and say FTFF to the powers that be, the powers that ought not be, and just live our lives. Now we know that it won't be long before they can't stand to have anybody not under their control. So it doesn't matter how many people they have living in their smart cities; they can't stand the idea of somebody not bowing the knee, and they'll come after us, I'm sure. But until then, I want to find the group of people that I want to spend the rest of my life living with, and help develop a bunch of them, so people can do it all over the place. And so, if that's I mean, that's where I feel led to do right now, is to help.
Can I jump in here? There's a couple things about it. I don't, for one period, a short period of my life, I was into the whole Q thing, and so that hopium.
We can't be friends anymore.
I know. Right? No, Brian knows I'm the lead guy that tells them what they need to know, because I was in it and got out. It's one of those. What do you call those when they have the in the news? They have that guy that's like the expert, that comes in. I'm that guy, but But just the fact that the hopium of that, there's still people caught in it, that's really sad. But also the hopium of the people that believed in this rapture before tribulation and stuff. And so it's like, now that I know that we're all going to be here for it. However, like I said, here's my hopium that I still have left. In Jeremiah, he talks about that his people, and don't get caught up in locations and names. There's no like Jewish religion people. They're people, God, all God's children. You can choose to be one depending on if you figure this all out. But he says that if you can sustain yourself during those times, and then he'll come and gather us. He says it more than once in those passages. And I did a video on it where I thought it was funny. Somebody did a thing, Jesus take the wheel, and he comes up and grabs the car. Because it's like when someone gathers you, if I say I'm going to go to dinner and pick you up, that means he's going to come get us. So there's still a chance that when all this is going down, if you know who God is and you start being self-sufficient and you do your best to ride out the storm, whatever there is coming, then you'll make it. They could write us off. Everyone else moves off to these smart cities, and then it all shakes out and he comes get us. That's a possibility too. I'm not saying if my head, if I go to the guillotines, I've already told Steve JMO, I'm going to cut in line in front of him if we're in the same line. It's like,
Well,
you told me, don't threaten me with a good time. I get to see God sooner, fine, whatever.
Right.
So I'm not fearful of that. But he does say that there are remnants that don't ever see that, and they just get caught up.
Absolutely.
So there's that chance.
Well, there is, and it does say that those who are the dead in Christ will rise first, and then those who are alive and remain will be caught up in the intermediate. So we know that they're not everybody. They don't get everybody. In fact, I'll point this out now, right? So Revelation 13:10, if anybody is to go into captivity they will go. And if anybody is to be killed with the sword, they will be killed. This calls for patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of God's people. So again, that does sound fairly dire, but keep in mind that when we talk of the tribulation, most of the time we have narrowed this down to a 7-year period. That seems to be a lot of indication for that. There could it could be something different, but it does seem to be a 7-year period that's divided into 2-3.5-year periods. Before it'll be pre-trib, mid-trib is the middle, and then post-trib is afterwards, right? And so it does say, however, that in the middle time after the first 3.5 years, and this is the way that I read it, is you go back to, and again, I covered a lot of this in my conversation with Beth, so this would be kind of going back over some stuff. But the two witnesses of Revelation 11 appear to me to be the last people who are martyred, because immediately after their death and they're called up to heaven, there's a earthquake, and then at the seventh trumpet, right then, immediately following, the kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and his Messiah, and he will reign forever and ever. We give thanks to you because you have taken your great power and have begun to reign. The nations were angry. Your wrath has come. The time for judging the dead and rewarding your servants, the prophets. The time for judging the dead. What are we told about that? Well, again, if we go back to the opening of the seals in Revelation 6, at the fifth seal, then I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony they had maintained. They called out in a loud voice, "How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood?" Then each of them was given a white robe and told to wait a little longer until the full number of their fellow servants, the brothers and sisters, were to be killed just as they had been. And so what happens then at Revelation 11, right? At the Revelation 11, then immediately, right, he says the time has come to judge the world, right? So how long? Until the number is filled. Revelation 11, these two guys, the two witnesses, are killed. And in fact, they piss off the world so bad that people send each other gifts. The inhabitants of the earth will gloat over them and celebrate by sending each other gifts, because these two prophets had tormented those who lived on the earth, and they wouldn't let them be buried, laid them in the street for 3.5 days until they raised. So immediately thereafter, then what you see is it's time to judge the dead and rewarding the servants, the prophets, right? And so this is, that's how I count this. And so immediately thereafter, what we have is the same thing here in Revelation 12 now. This is the great sign in heaven, the woman of Revelation 12 with the standing on the moon with the 12 stars around her head. Okay, so her child was snatched up to God and just thrown. The woman fled into the wilderness to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days, which is 42 months, which is time and a half, and time, which is 3.5 years. So taken into the wilderness, taken care of. And that's this is said over and over. I got to find here again. The woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, so she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she would be taken care of time and a half, 3.5 years, out of the serpent's reach. Then from his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon had spewed out of its mouth. Then the dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast their testimony about Jesus. But you see, the problem is that he can't get to them. And so I do think that there is some possibility here, right, that after that time, once that number is filled, they are supernaturally protected. They can't be touched for the remaining 3.5 years. So if you're in that group, then good on you. Again, it says...
well, picture this. The God that I believe in created a firmament that covers the entire space of the earth, whatever shape and length and whatever that is. So you don't think that same God can't cover a certain area of land?
He can do whatever he wants.
Or a person? Absolutely. And they show it to us all the time in movies and TV. Isn't that the Tonka area? What is it? The Black Panther area? It's covered by a force field and no one knows where it is. It's the same kind of thing.
Yep.
That's the way I see it.
Agreed. And so... these are the things I look at, right? Is that I just don't think there's a reason to be afraid, and I guess that's what I want to get to. It doesn't matter which of those paths that you're called to take. It's going to be okay, right? Because ultimately, right, if you get here, right, so you come down to the end, and then there's a new heaven and a new earth. And look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and he dwells with them. They'll be his people, and God himself will be with them and be their God. He'll wipe away every tear from their eyes. There'll be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Right? Behold, I'm making everything new. What's wrong with that? I mean, again, that's the end, right? That's the reward. And so it doesn't matter which of those ways. Ultimately, what it does say is that those who endure the more difficult things get a greater reward. But either way,
and at the end of the day, we all have an expiration date. We know that. So if your last few days are going to be glorious because you're talking to the Creator, how freaking awesome is that?
I can't wait. Right. And like you, I mean, we've had this conversation that at the beginning of Revelation, it describes there are beings who day and night, they never stop saying, holy, holy, holy is God. And it's like, was that boring? Right. And then I just thought, you know what, after this, I might just do the same thing. I'm just not be able to leave and go, oh, you're so cool. I don't ever want to leave. I don't ever want to be out of his presence. I can see that.
Well, you and I talked about it because that was something. Yeah, it was like, so he created angels, and all they did was say that. And then I realized, like we talked about, if I did ever feel like I was in the absolute presence of the Creator, maybe that's all I could say too.
Yeah, it's
like I have 10,000 thoughts, but nothing else comes out.
Yeah, it is intimidating, and and I'll say this, right? Being in the presence of Dad was terrifying at first, all right, and I thought I was going to die. And I understand the whole point of them saying, be not afraid, because it's terrifying. And when people, I hear many people say that they just dislike the whole idea of the fear of the Lord, right? Like that's or you should be afraid. It's like, when you're a kid, aren't you afraid of your parents? Like if you do something wrong, isn't there some fear that they're going to beat your ass? Like you're going to get in trouble?
Dad's going to kill you.
Yeah, like just wait till your dad gets home. But you don't love your dad. You think your dad is a douche because your mom says wait till your dad gets home because you're going to get in trouble because you did something wrong? What the hell?
There was a cartoon I used to watch. It was called that.
I know. Again, this is why I look, and the arguments that I'm given by people who insist on hating Dad, it's like you don't. The thing is, you just don't know him, right? It's like, I know that you want to hate him, and I know the world sucks, and I know that you're going to blame it on the creator of it because that's what you've been told to do, and that's the story you've been given. But look at this, right? So think of what we're told about Dad, right? So if you don't mind. I know I take time doing this, but I want to, if I can, just take a moment and I want to play. I just want to. I'm going to play a little music in the background, but I do want to read a bit of this because this is who Dad is, right? So this is. Go Go ahead.
Before you do,
Yep.
I got a thought. Let me get it out before it disappears. So
Yes.
it's like that spoiled kid, and you go to the grocery store, and he's complaining because he wants all the candies, and the parent's saying, no, you can't have them, and he's angry at the parent. When actually, if he realized, if he looked up all the ingredients, and he saw that all those things are going to make him obese and probably get diabetes, he should be mad at the companies that are sending him the poison, but he's mad at the parents
Yeah.
for trying to keep him protected. So how's that?
Exactly. It's the same as the kid whose parent says, clean your room. You hate me, you don't have fun. It's because you're teaching him discipline. Right? It's children don't understand. They don't understand the nature of a loving parent, right? And so, so this is who Dad is, right? And what I want to share with you is that the beautiful part of this for me is that my understanding of Dad doesn't come from reading this. My understanding of Dad comes from my relationship. It's when I read this that I go, oh, yeah, that's exactly who he is, right? So that's what I find amazing and thrilling, is that I learn of him through my direct relationship. And then I discover that somebody else knew that too, right? And wrote it down beautifully. So this is Psalm 103. Praise the Lord, my soul, all my innermost being. Praise his holy name. Praise the Lord, my soul, and forget not all his benefits, who forgives all your sins and heals all your diseases, who redeems your life from the pit and crowns you with love and compassion, who satisfies your desires with good things, so that your youth is renewed like eagles. The Lord works righteousness and justice for all the oppressed. He made his ways known to Moses and his deeds to the people of Israel. The Lord is compassionate and gracious, slow to anger, abounding in love. He will not always accuse, nor will he harbor his anger forever. He does not treat us as our sins deserve, or repay us according to our iniquity. For as high as the heavens are above the earth, so great is his love for those who fear him. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. As a father has compassion on his children, so the Lord has compassion on those who fear him. For he knows how we are formed. He remembers that we're but dust. The life of mortals is like grass. They flourish like a flower of the field. The wind blows it over, and it's gone, and its place remembers it no more. But from everlasting to everlasting, the Lord's love is with those who fear him, and his righteousness with their children's children, with those who keep his covenant and remember to obey his precepts. The Lord has established his throne in heaven, and his kingdom rules over all. Praise the Lord, you his angels, you mighty ones who do his bidding, who obey his word. Praise the Lord, all his heavenly hosts, you his servants who do his will. Praise the Lord, all his works everywhere in his dominion. Praise the Lord, my soul. Psalm 103 from the New International Version. And man, that is awesome to me. That is so accurate of who Dad is, right? It is a beautiful a rendition and description of the Dad I've come to know.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If he's all love, that's even if you haven't figured out all the pieces of the puzzle, not that any of us have. That's the thing I always say whenever I talk. These are just my ideas, because it doesn't matter who's read what and how long you've studied something and whatever. At the end of the day, everyone makes their own conclusion, their own theory. So whatever I say is the information. You guys all have the same information I do. This is what I come up with. And what I see is something that loves me and that's only love. And so even if you don't believe in, say, the Bible and Jesus and all that, the fact that the commandments, we were talking about the main things. If you love yourself, love God, and love your neighbor as yourself, that's not a bad world. I'd like to live in that regardless of whatever, doctrine people think that it is. That's a great place to live.
Yep. And I will, again, reiterate this. This is my observation and experience, is that most people have, I would say, no idea, really, what love is, truly, until they encounter the Creator. For myself, the only time I think understood unconditional love or uninterested love, which is love that requires nothing in return, right? So the interest being like, charging interest. So uninterested love is love that does not require anything in return, was the day I met my daughter when I brought her home from the hospital. And like there was not a thing that this child could do for me, and yet I loved it fully. Right? There's nothing that they could give me. There's nothing that this child could do, except be there, right, and let me love it. And then I understood, and so that was the first indication. But how to express that has taken a lifetime of trying to better understand the nature of love. And when I tried to define it, even through, and I'll read through 1 Corinthians 13. It's a famous chapter on love here in a minute. And it does well define the characteristics of love. But ultimately, until I understood, well, I say understood, began to get a glimpse, because to say I understood or understand is, no, no, that's not new. But I do, I'm starting to get glimpses, right, of putting together the idea that Dad is love, and that every step I take toward understanding Dad opens my mind and my heart to a better grasp of what love is, and the better ability to receive from him love and to pass it on to others. And it is, to me, impossible that you cannot truly know what real love is without experiencing it through Dad. It's the only way that I know of. It's both observational and experiential. I just don't think you can really fully grasp and appreciate the nature of love beyond what you've seen, right? And what you've seen is it's a poor mock-up. It's a poor substitute, right? We all have it in us. We want it. In fact, we need love or we will die. But we're dying because we don't have it.
Yeah.
You just stopped. I handed the ball to you, and you just stood there staring at it.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that was a handoff. I was like kind of listening. That was awesome.
That's all right.
No.
So this would be a great time to add something, because the next thing I want to do is I want to drop in 1 Corinthians 13, which is, again, the famous chapter on love. It's a great description of it.
Well, I guess, probably one of the hardest things that people have, at least, again, these are my thoughts, to get over, is that one, love thy neighbor. Well, what if your neighbor's a jerk, So it's like, it's hard to get past that one. And, we used to joke that and I'm not putting this out in the internet or Ethernet, come on, I don't want this, but if Hillary Hinton showed up at my doorstep and was starving, I mean, we'd have to feed her. We wouldn't give her we'd probably give her really garbage food.
And that's
you know what I mean?
That's a tough one. And I think honestly that we have been a bit, at least this is my take right now, again, is that we have been given this idea, you love everybody. And I don't know that that's possible, but that's not the commandment, right? It doesn't say love everybody. What it says is,
no, I don't have to love.
It says love your neighbor.
You don't hate the sinner, you hate the sin kind of thing. I wouldn't have to love that person, and if they showed something to me where it's just distasteful, disrespectful, and then Jesus also said, kick the dust off your heels and move on to the next town. So basically, what I feel is, if someone reaches out to you, you should show them that love that you're supposed to. But if it's that thing, like, of course, President Trump had to read the speech about the snake. If it bites you, well, then you're done with it, and you move on. Because at the end of the day, it's not for me to judge. That's for him to judge. So, but if you act inappropriate the way I would feel would be correct, I'll move on. That kind of thing. I won't actively go after you with a pitchfork. Someone else will do that. I'll just go on my way, because my path's different than yours.
Okay. Well, all right. So let me put it this way: is that it doesn't say you got to love everybody, right? It says love your neighbor, because I think it would be impossible to love everybody, and so I don't have to love Hillary Hinton. I don't have to love Old Sniffer. I don't have to love Cheeto Jesus.
Shut up! Would you feed her and just say get the hell out?
I don't know, because it hasn't happened, right? So if he brings her, if he brings her to my door, right? So
I'm saying I'd have to give her food just because I feel obligated.
If he brings her to my door, right, then I have to make that choice and say he brought her here for a reason, right, and then behave appropriately and ask what to do. Until that happens, it seems very unlikely. But what is more unlikely, or what is more likely, is that I'm going to be confronted with a maskhole who wants to give me shit because I'm not wearing a mask and he's a sheep. right? And so this is an opportunity for me to show compassion and love when I know that's more likely to happen. It's an opportunity when I know that there are people who are going to say bad things about me, right? Because they don't like that I follow Jesus, right? But I can continue to behave in a loving manner, right? But also, right? And there is, I was thinking about this one today. There are several fuck the fucking fuckers in Scripture. I was thinking today about Elisha, who after the ascension of Elijah, and if you're unfamiliar with the story, Elijah was an Old Testament prophet. And he was much like Enoch, translated, a chariot of fire. And that's why we get the word chariot of fire. He was, if Hillary Clinton knocks on your door, you got problems?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was laughing at that, too.
Oh, my gosh, yes, that's true. But anyway, so Elijah gets translated to heaven. With the chariots of fire take him alive to heaven, and he does not see death. And he gives to his protege, Elisha, he gives him his cloak and gives him a blessing. And so on his way home, he's walking home, and there's a group of young boys, apparently teenagers by the way they're behaving, and they're mocking him. And he was a bald guy like me. And so they're mocking him, and they say, "Go up, thou bald head. Go up, thou bald head," right? Mocking him. And so he cursed them. And a bear came out of the woods and mauled and ate a bunch of them.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right there. There is more of that. If you read the words of the psalmist, he says in several cases, "Do these horrible things to my enemy," right? Make them see death. In fact, take them to hell before they die. Let them arrive alive in hell so they can experience all of it. Oh, that's pretty harsh, right?
That's true.
So these things appear, right? And but it also says what is going to happen at the end. If you read, I read Revelation 21. Go read Revelation 20 about what happens to the bad guys. It's unpleasant, and so they do get comeuppance. Here's the thing: it's not for me to say what is good and what is bad, because I've learned that Dad is smarter, wiser, and better. He's the very definition of love, and I can trust him with all of this. And so I don't have to ask why, and I don't have to figure it out intellectually and do ethics surveys, right, and figure out what is God good? I already know, because I know him, that he's good. And so I can trust him with the rest. That, I think, is the beauty of a relationship versus religion. Because in a religion, it's a belief system. You have to read this, you read all the words, and you convince yourself that these things are true. But then you wonder about, are they really true? And what about all this stuff that I see around me? Why is there evil in the world? And why does he let babies die? And all this stuff, these unanswerable questions that aren't going to be answered. And you're not going to find it you're not going to find it in Scripture. You're not going to find it in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. You're not going to find it in a Protestant church. You're not going to find those answers in a religion. What you are going to find is that when you have a relationship with Dad, he's good and he's trustworthy, and you'll go, "Oh, he's got it. I don't have to worry about it. He's got this."
And he does say that if you wonder why all these idiots, like the person I brought up in my hypothetical, I'll try to use someone else next time, but why are they still freaking around? Well, he says so. Because if these people have messed with generations, and some of us aren't here anymore, everyone gets to see their comeuppance on Judgment Day. Everyone. So if they weren't still here, we wouldn't get to all see that. And it's all going to happen, and everyone's going to get to see it at once. So that's one of the explanations why they're here. And it doesn't matter what face we put in front of it. You could put Killer Gates or his husband, either one. You could put, the new thing. Did you hear Jeff? I know it's not poppycock, but CEO now of Amazon, which killed all small business, he's stepping down. I almost want to do a petition to make him stay on, because the last time a big CEO stepped down, as Steve JMO says, no bueno. You know what I mean? What the heck is going to happen if he gets together with Killer Gates, and his husband? Yeah, so I don't know what's going on.
I have the full text of what he wrote to his employees. It's a song and dance. It's a cover story. Basically says nothing, but we can infer a lot from it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to cover.
My point is it doesn't matter what figurehead you stick in front of it, because there's always another one. So we really can't even get upset with those people, because They're all bought and paid for. We know they're the ones that we're going to see get judged.
Okay.
So it doesn't really
So
matter.
here's a
At the
question
end
for
of
you.
the day, what's that?
I said, so here's a question for you.
Oh, sure.
Is let's say we'll give him the benefit of the doubt, presumably that Jeff Bozo is human. Let's assume that.
All right.
Okay, because we don't know. he
None of
doesn't
us
look
yet,
like it.
right?
You know, I mean, all things
It's
being
also assumed none of us know for sure.
all things being equal, he doesn't look like it. If I had to say that anybody looked like a freak, I mean, between him and Zuckerturd, that'd be a tough call, right?
And he even accidentally said he was human once.
I know.
He even said that.
Yeah, I used to be. But okay, so let's say, since we brought up Bozo, let's use him. And so, is he your enemy?
Is he my enemy?
Mm-hmm.
No, he just represents the negativity that's coming at me. Because at the end of the day, what I have noticed is the people against us, they're cheap sons of bitches. They never spend hardly any money. They brought down the world to its knees, and all they did was say there's an invisible boogeyman outside the door, and everyone said, really? And they say, yeah, close all your businesses and stay inside till we tell you to come out with a mask on. And everyone went, okay. Nobody did anything. We all did it to ourselves. And now we're just waiting for we're crying out to the government that shut everything down to please let us open up. It's like asking your slave owner, hey, I don't like the way you treated me last week, and see how well he treats you next week. You know what I mean?
Okay. So is Jay Inslee your enemy?
Well, I hate the guy. I guess I'm not supposed to use that word, but yeah, he's a real.
Just
even if
be
he
honest.
was gone and be a new one in there, it doesn't matter.
I mean, I'm just asking. I'm asking questions. I'm just asking for honest answers. I mean, I don't have
Geez,
any.
under
I'm not saying.
investigation is
I'm
it-
not saying.
You guys called last week too.
I'm not saying there's even a right or wrong answer, or that I know what that is. I'm asking the question. Is he your enemy? Is Gavin Newsom your enemy?
But yeah, all these guys are doing these lockstep horrible stuff. Yeah, absolutely. They are the opponent in this, whatever this is, of nonsense.
Yeah. So I mean, again, I'm not sure I have the answers to this. I have to. These are things that I kind of struggle with sometimes. And I mean, where I come from at this point, right, is that while I have not made them my enemy, they have made them. They have announced that they are
Right.
that they're my enemy, right? That they have chosen to be an enemy of my creator, right? And so
Right.
the friend, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and the enemy of my friend is my enemy. And so, again, this is
You know
sort
what
of
I think you're getting, and this is where I might draw my point, is if Gavin Newsom, no, who's our guy? If Jay Inslee, he showed up at your house tonight, beat and bruised, he's near death, and he's like, can you help me? Are you going to close the door? No, you're going to open it. You're going to help him, even though he's your, quote, enemy. That's what I'm saying. That's the hardest part of the love thy neighbor as thyself. Even that guy, if he shows up near death, are you going to shut your door on him? I don't know, man. That's the way I feel.
it's a difficult one. I mean, again, everybody has to answer that one for themselves, because it's not my job to tell anybody what's right or wrong. I can say that given the way that you describe it, if he shows up by himself, beaten and alone,
Right.
honestly, yeah, I'm going to take care of him. I'll probably give him a tongue lashing, right? And I'll probably say, now, do unto others as has been done to you. Take care of others, right? Pay it back. But I
Because
don't.
it's God's
I don't.
judgment.
I don't
He
think
has
I
to
could
do
let.
the-
I don't think I could let a human suffer. Now, if it's Hillary Hinton, I'm pretty sure that one's not human. So
You closing the door?
yeah, so yeah, that's a tough one. That one, I might have to get out the bug spray. I don't know. So yeah, I don't know. I kind
Like
of
that thing in the movie. What was it? The thing. You're gonna do a blood test and hit it with a hot poker and see if it moves, as to whether or not you flame her or not.
right.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, and I kind of, I'm only half kidding. I don't really know, but these are the things that I will say that I have learned over time is the biggest struggle to me of, I hesitate to say Christianity because
So I got a question
because I don't
for you.
buy it. I don't buy Christianity that way. But
Here's a
but in
question
turn,
for the Great Baldini.
okay, well, wait until I finish. Damn, dude. Damn. I'm trying to tell a story here, and you keep jumping in. Ease up, buddy. All right. So now I lost my train of thought. Go ahead and ask. Shit. But don't do it again. All right.
All right.
Go ahead.
I will. Well, I got excited because
I know.
did God create whatever you want to call him, Lucifer, and did he love him?
Yes,
So
absolutely. No,
there you go.
absolutely. But that was a God. You interrupted my good story for that. Damn,
No.
dude. Damn, dude, that was weak. Okay, so yeah, I thought it was going to be a mind bending.
You got the C team, not the A team.
Oh,
Sorry.
dude. All right. So we'll see when I call you next. No, I'm trying to remember. Now I'm trying to remember now I'm trying to remember what I was trying to say. I really did lose my train of thought. Shit. No. This is okay. So this is what I'm want to get to. Right. This is what I've discovered is that walking out the following Jesus is way harder than Christianity. Right, Christianity is at least the way it's been presented is a set of rules. Right, it's a religion, and you do this and you do that, and say this and dress like that, and that's not any of it. Right, what I see is following Jesus is just what he says: love God with all your heart, all your mind, all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. That sort of triumvirate, as you point out, there's the third one, which is love your neighbor as yourself, right? That it implies that. That is way harder by many orders of magnitude. And moreover, right, and this is how, frankly, I know, and again, I'm cautious because my point is not to judge anyone, right? But it gives me some very clear insights, right? Is that if you do follow the path of love by following Jesus, what's going to happen is that you won't be an asshole, right? But if you follow religion and you're following rules, then and the rules can't be kept, so you can only kind of keep part of them, then the only thing you can do is compare how good you're keeping to somebody else, and then you're going to be an asshole. And so so when people follow religion, it's pretty easy to see they become assholes, and this is why people don't like them. This is why they don't like Christians and Christianity, because they think that's what it's about, is being an asshole. Because
what was the thing that you once said about how Jesus said don't follow any religion, and they said, cool, let's make a religion about that?
Yeah, that sounds great. Let's make a religion out of it. Exactly. So, but this is the thing, right? I understood. Like, it took some time, but once I grasped this idea that what he was asking of me is to love others and myself, that this is, wow, it is it's the tallest order imaginable. Because as you said, the hardest part, I think, is loving yourself. Like for me, coming to Dad, again, not easy because there's confusion. But once you have that relationship and can get into it, right, then that part to me seems sort of easier, right? I can't help but be in love with him because he's amazing. The rest of it now is challenging because it is, I think, impossible to truly love your neighbor until you can love yourself.
Yep.
And that's hard because we know we're broken. And the only way to truly love ourselves, I think, this is my experience and my observation, the only way you can truly love yourself is in the context of letting Dad love you and heal those places that are broken, right? Because we're broken and we try to fix those parts that hurt, often by damaging others. It's a weird thing. We beat them down to make ourselves feel better. It's just an odd thing. Or we grasp so hard to get love that we damage them to get it, right? And because we just want it so bad. Unfortunately, again, we just don't know what love is. But the only way that I know of to be able to truly love yourself in a healthy manner, right, is to love Dad and let him love you. And then you can flip this around, and then you can learn to love others. And then these questions about if Hillary Hinton comes to your door, do you love them? Well, again, I don't have to love everybody, right? I have to love my neighbor, those around me. And this is where I got the idea that it's impossible. If you want to go change the world, good luck, because the world is a big place. And you're not going to be very effective in changing the world. But you can change the world around you. And when you do that, right, then you get the mitosis effect where it begins to spread. And that, right, is possible. So change the world around you. And so if you can learn this, and I think the only way you can learn this is the relationship of dad, right? That's the only way. It's not an intellectual exercise. Does it take your mind? Absolutely. It does. It does require an intellectual thought, but it is not an intellectual exercise. In the same way that your relationship with your wife or, even your best friend, it's not an intellectual exercise. You're just in a relationship. Do you think about it? Yes. Do you have hard decisions to make? Sometimes, right? But it is just. So again, the truth. You don't know how to live yourself. I know. That's what I'm saying. You don't know how. It's not something you can figure out. All I can tell you to do is get to know Dad. Is the only one who can show you that you're worth being loved.
Well, I use your story quite often when I'm describing this because while you were gone, I said the few times that I know that I've talked directly to God, it was through, I believe, Jesus. It was a secondary. But you've told me a situation where you were actually in front of him and you felt ashamed and disgusting. And it's like when I first, what do you call that? Tested God and said, I want you to show yourself because I was in such dire straits in this situation. And then when I did realize he was right there, Jesus at least, I was like, I was ashamed. I was like, oh shit, what did I do? Because I didn't feel worthy enough. And as I grew my relationship and understanding it, he knows who you are. He knows your heart. He knows the thoughts before you think them. He knows what's in a man's heart. He knows who you are. He knows what you've done. He knows that you feel bad about yourself. And the reason that when you know God, it's all love is you realize he doesn't care. He loves you for as beautifully broken as you are.
Yeah.
And then once you realize that, and then you can love yourself as God loves his neighbor as himself. When you start to love yourself because you are the image of God, then you can do exactly what you're saying. You can't change the world around you. You start with yourself. You change your heart, just like in the Grinch, and you've loved yourself. And from there, it emanates out. And just science tells you positive attracts positive, just like in magnets. And so then you start changing out the little area around you and the people that you touch. And the next thing you know, it gets bigger and bigger. And that's the whole love thy neighbor as thyself. So when you connect all three of that trinity, you end up becoming like Jesus. And that's what we're supposed to do. And when we reach that level, we'll be able to move mountains, he says.
Well,
So.
one of the things you said there is so accurate, right? I mean, one of the things that truly hit me is that I knew when I realized, one of the things, right, that I've said before that most 99% of my relationship with Dad, and okay, so quickly the question in the chat is Jesus to me Dad. I call Jesus J-Bro, and Dad is Dad, and Mom is the Spirit. So I revere Dad, although most of my interaction is with J-Bro, frankly, and Mom. Just a few direct interactions with Dad, and it was scary as fuck. Honestly, I pooped myself. I was very, very frightened. But it's very profound as well. But anyway, this thing where he said, and I'm trying to figure out exactly. It was a series of. He just basically said, "Look, you let people harm you because you believe you deserve it, right? And don't let them do that to you." And he's like, "You're so mean to this beautiful person that I love. Don't do that anymore. And if you won't do it for you, please do it for me, right? Because it hurts me when you hurt the person that I love." I had negative self-talk and often mean to myself. And man, it was effective. When I realized that even though he knew every little nook and cranny of all my faults, and he thought I was beautiful, I just took a while to wrap my head and my heart around that, to make the 18-inch mile between the head and the heart. Took a while, but ultimately that was a profoundly effective way to approach it with me. is knowing that I couldn't and probably wouldn't do it for myself, but I would do it for him. And once I began to protect myself from letting people harm me, oddly enough, it didn't require being an asshole. It just required setting good boundaries. And that was an act of love. Because when I set those boundaries, I could say in advance, right, these are the boundaries, and it was an act of love. Again, if love is not the motive, God is not involved. And so setting boundaries is actually an act of love for you
And
and for the others, right? So
I'm going through that right now. I've set some boundaries on some things. Things went south the way I didn't expect. It troubles my heart. I tell God daily, and He's like, "You don't think I know this? Can you just let me do this?" And I'm like, "No, no, you got this. I understand. You got this. But I really don't like the way it's going. Can we?" He's like, "Really? You're going to talk to me about this every day?" That's the way I see it. So yeah, it's the hardest thing. That whole let go, let God. It's not a step off the curb. It's a leap of faith to try to actually just say, "All right, I'm going to just give it to you." And I'm going to feel it in my gut and my heart, because I think that's where we really feel this word of God, even more than our antenna in our head, our brains. And it's like, if you got that gut feeling or you go with your heart, it seems like things are working out. And if it's within His will and His law and His ways, it's working out for me. And so even though sometimes things go south and I think if there's no way this is going to work out, I have to just try to get those thoughts out, because, like you said earlier, do you trust Him or not? And it's really difficult. You can say you have the most faith, but geez, the last guy that had undenying faith God gave him the world was Abraham, and look what He asked him to do. So it's like that's a really tough place to be, but it's something I strive for, every day to try to get closer to that unbelievable faith. Like, look at Daniel. He went down with the lions. He was fine. His whole family went into fire. They were cool. So it's like, that's the God I believe in, and I don't think He can't watch over me. So it's really tough to get rid of that fear, that one of those big fears that they've instilled in us since we were kids. And the moment we're born, what do? They jab you in the bottom of the foot and draw blood and cause trauma. From the moment we're on earth, they start putting fear into us. So
well, and
it's hard.
one of the biggest fears, right, is the fear of losing your life, right? That we fear dying, we fear death, because death is frankly unnatural, and eternity is written into the heart of man, as well as justice. I've said this over and over, that it's phenomenal that justice is written into the heart of man. We have an expectation of things to be fair, and yet there's not one shred of evidence when you look around that anything about life is fair, right? And so that then shows me that that we were made. We were made perfect, and then there was something that broke. Because if we have eternity in our hearts, we were meant for eternity and perfection, and yet it's not. Then something is amiss. But one thing that I see that's pretty straightforward, right, is that we. I'm trying to find a way to put this effectively and sort of briefly, but what we struggle with, I think, is that we, again, so badly want. We're afraid to die, right? And again, Jesus said, "Fear not those who can kill your body, but those who can kill the body and the soul in hell." But it is that fear of dying, all right, that I think drives so. It's just fear generally, right? And I've said, this is something I've said very often, is that most people are driven by fear. Right? When you get up in the morning, you don't feel like going to work. Why do you go? Because you're afraid of getting fired. If you get fired, you're just not going to have any money, and you're going to lose your house, and then your wife's going to leave you. Right? You drive the speed limit because you're afraid of getting a ticket. Right? And so many people are driven all their lives by fear, and most of them by fear of just rejection, that people won't like them. And so this is to me one of the deepest fractures in the human heart. Is that our thirst and our need for love and acceptance that is unfulfilled, and we're starving for it. And then we're afraid to die, and so we live our whole lives trying to die and never really live. Right? This is the fate of most people that I see, and it's heartbreaking. And so this is why I'm, I guess, encouraged to share with you that I've found a different way. Right. So if I can encourage people to say, hey, this relationship is waiting for you. All you have to do is ask. Right. He never turns away broken heart and a contrite spirit. If you come at it with, prove it to me, unless you're ceiling fan man and God says you're just too dumb to. No, I'm fucking with you.
Were you
No,
there?
yeah,
What the
I was there. Now, no, but really, mostly what I see, right, is that it says he's not big on a proud spirit, but
No, you know what it was? It wasn't like I was asking a magic genie to create something. I was just destitute and on my knees and doing all the right things, I guess, to a point. And I said, I need to know you're here or not, because I didn't ever know you existed. So
sure,
that's how it worked out.
yeah, it's much like
I mean,
my experience. What I said, show me you love me. Right, and do
right.
do
Okay.
something, say something, and he said, he's like, and if I do nothing, then what? Right? Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Really?
yeah,
Yeah. No. So, but I always say your results may vary.
right,
But no, there's really it's this thing that once you get to understand that everything in this world, as you say, is based off of fear, and so that means again the enemy, whatever you want to say they are, they work off of fear. Even their archy, like everyone's afraid of what's going to happen to them if they don't step in line and do and say the horrible things that they need to do to us. There's no love there. Doesn't matter how rich and famous these idols are. There's no love there, and that's the one thing, the one gift when you can give God, because He can get anything He wants, but He's asking for one gift from you, and that's reciprocal love and friendship. Well, that's great. Because if that's the one gift we can give them, there you go. And it's the thing that they lack. That's why part of the reason I think they hate us is because they'll never be able to achieve it, because they've turned their backs on God. And it's easy to see a whole society has turned their backs on God, don't even know He exists, because they're walking around with things on their faces because some television box told them to do it. But I've played video after video, doesn't matter, but showing that one dude with the weird voice he has. One time in March on 60 Minutes, he said the M's on your face do nothing. And now, whatever, how many months later, they're telling you wear 2, 3, 4, or the whole box.
yeah.
And it's like at some point, someone said, you're at what, 2, 3, 4 of these things. When do we decide they don't do anything? Like, what number is okay to say, okay, we're done? Like, is it 100?
And when are you going to
stop?
And when are you going to take it off? When they tell
Exactly.
you, when they
So
tell you
it proves that there's a whole society that knows no existence of God, because the opposite of God is fear. And the one thing He says, if you'd read the book multiple times, don't fear anything. Well, obviously the people wearing those things have never read it and never even bothered to think that He actually exists.
And they're
They think they came from monkeys and they're on a flying ball.
and they are terrified. And I have
they're afraid.
I have learned that about most of the maskholes who really attack me.
And honestly, I'm sorry to stop you. I don't like that word because it's very negative. And again, they're our brothers and sisters. They're just scared.
Okay, you don't. Well, I was going to get there, but you don't like it. But I'm describing a behavior.
I know. I'm
right.
sorry.
So they're acting like maskholes. So it's not a judgment of the people. But I was just getting to what I've discovered is that most of them who behave that way are terrified. There's a combination of the two things, which is one which is for fear, and the other one which is I'm being inconvenienced and I have to do it. So I'm for sure not going to let you get away with it.
Right.
Right. So it is that combination of fear and like you're not going to get away with it. We all have to do.
Okay, I'll give you that. Then that would be a maskell. I'm on board.
Yeah. So yeah. Right. So it's their but it's their behavior, right? So and I can easily separate the person from the behavior, and many people can't. But I can say, hey, you're being an asshole. Doesn't mean that you are I'm not saying you're an asshole. I'm saying you're acting like an asshole. Right? I mean, some people probably do take on those characteristics, and you can say, yes, this is a bad person. But most people, I think, just they're people that do bad things. There's a difference there.
They're misled. They're being taught to turn on each other.
Yeah, but I mean, I think people are complex. There's very few people who I think are all good or all bad. Good people do bad things. Bad people can even do good things. There are, killers who will save a puppy. Right, that's a good thing. We're complicated. It's not a matter So when I talk about those behaviors, I can talk about that's a good or bad behavior, right? But
Yeah.
people are complicated, and I agree that Dad loves all of them, even the ones that I have a difficult time dealing with, right? Well, but I've said before, right? And I've learned this is that those who are the most unlovely are the most in need of it. And some though I think are probably beyond my reach. Hillary Hinton, beyond my reach because I'm not even sure it's human anymore. Right, that it's
Yeah.
been so
Okay.
taken over by evil and allowing evil to invade it and live inside of it. That I think that person is whatever bit of human might have been there at one point isn't. Just an observation. Again, I'm not going to lizard people, but yeah, maybe lizard people. Just yeah. Anyway, but no. Here's
More people will buy into the whole lizard people than Jesus, and that's really funny too.
well, again, the funny thing is, lizard people again sounds crazy, but on the other hand, it's not, I don't think that it's that far from the truth, in that
Oh, no.
it does look like some of the demonic beings would appear to us in their natural form to be reptilian, and there's this other according to the book of Genesis, there is another being on this earth that was a reptile that apparently had intelligence. It was said it was the most clever, right, the most subtle of all the beings that he made, right, including man. He was smart, and so I don't think that's a snake, right, and the
Yeah.
traditional snake. So, and it says that they'll basically live underground. So. Anyway, I think that there's a strong possibility that we coexist with another, perhaps, race. I mean, we've been told this in media over and over. Truth in the movies, lies in the news. Again, I'm not trying to weird you out and going, yes, I believe in lizard people, but fuck, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities, so I don't know.
You just reminded me of something that happened today that you brought up on Best Show. Well, first of all, as far as the lizard people, yeah, through the TV and movies, I was talking with Steve about this. There was a show I used to watch as a kid called Land of the Lost. And they had like alien creatures.
Oh yeah, the slee stack
from another planet. Slee stacks. They look like lizard creatures that live underground, like the troglodytes.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
All of them. There's in Doctor Who, right? They tell the exact story. There's a race of lizard people that live underground, right?
Yeah.
And
So you said today on Best Show about something. I think it's in Revelation. I completely forgot this until you talked about it. Where there's a cavern in a mountain.
Oh, that's actually Book of Enoch. It's actually the Enoch.
Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
well,
go back and look in Book of Enoch, and then you'll find references to it in multiple places in Scripture, especially in within Psalms, where it says the smooth stones of the pit. That's exactly what it's talking about. Yeah. So keep going. Yep.
Well, I came across. I mean, it's too long to go into the whole story. There's a video you can watch on my channel about Africa, but I came across a book that the flat Earth map showed the center north was actually in Africa.
Yeah, that's how you're saying.
And all the things about out of Africa and all this stuff. So the thing is I've been researching Africa, and there's this Mountains of the Moons. It's an entire mountain range that people have talked about for decades, centuries.
Yeah.
But they don't even know if it exists. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's supposed to go all the way from the Nile throughout. There's a lot of weird mysteries in Africa. So my point is this. I came across a map of a mountain. I think it's supposed to be the one I think where Satan's seat is, Kilimanjaro, and it shows this giant open cavern in the center of this mountain. And I even remarked, I'm like, what do you think that is? And then you talked about it today on the show.
Well, it was actually yesterday, but you listened to it.
Yes,
I get it. Yeah, it was live yesterday, but I know you probably.
It's pretty wild, just the synchronicities of stuff. So now I know what that picture is.
It is, yeah. So yeah, it's a wonderful. I love all the speculation stuff, but let me do this. I want to kind of turn us back.
Okay, sorry.
No, dude, don't apologize, because again, I love speculating. I had to kind of pull myself back because I was about to jump off into some, and I realized when I looked at the time, there's no way I could get back
Somebody
to.
told me I needed a shot.
Where I could get back to where I wanted to be, because I do want to come back to this idea, circle back. I'm not want to ever use that again. Come back around to this idea of love, and what is love, and how do we express it, right? And so I want to just kind of again touch on this idea that we were made for love. We were made to be in relationship with the Creator. In fact, to my view and my understanding, that is why we're here. Right, it is that he wanted to be in relationship. He was lonely for a very long time and made all kinds of life, teeming with life, this world, because he wants relationship. And he made us to be like him because he wanted someone like him to relate to. And he made us a mini-me and gave us dominion over this place in the same way, as above, so below. That's where, that began. But ultimately, we became disconnected. And so our hearts are starving for love, and everything that love has been, I think, stolen from us. That if again, Dad is love. If God is love, and they've been trying to disconnect us from the Creator, they're trying to steal love and instill fear. Now look around you and look at the history of the world and see if that isn't accurate. That they've tried to hide God and bring forth fear. Is that or is that not what we see?
Absolutely.
So,
No, and that the whole thing. No, keep talking. Sorry.
No, I mean, I was going to say, if you have something to drop in, this is the perfect time to do it, because the next thing I'm going to do is to read 1 Corinthians 13 and the definition of love. I mean, again, Dad is the definition of love, but these are the characteristics. So this is a perfect time for you to to recap or give anything about that, because then, I'm going to dive into this and it'll take a couple of minutes. So.
Okay, yeah, no, I guess that whole thing is just trying to get to that place where you can understand, like you said, if you can't understand real love coming to you, you can't give it back out, right? That's kind of what you were describing.
Yes, and I think, I mean, from when this is what I'd like to share, is that I don't think that understanding love is something that can be done. I think you have to experience it. I don't think it's an intellectual exercise. I think it's it's in your heart. I don't think and this is why people can't figure out God, right? Why you can't intellectualize God, because one, he's so much bigger than us, right? The ant can't understand the engineer and what's happening. And similarly, there's no way we're going to understand the mind of God, but the character of God, I think we can see. And so here is, again, 1 Corinthians 13. I'll read from the New International Version. If I speak in the tongue of men and angels, but do not have love, I am only a resounding gong or clanging cymbal. If I have prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge, and I have a faith that can move mountains, but do not have love, I'm nothing. And if I give everything I possess to the poor, and even give my body to hardship, that I could boast, but I don't have love, I'm nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. Again, the first characteristic, love is patient. Why does this continue? Why is there evil still in the world? Because God is patient. In fact, you can think of this. Every time I say love, introduce the word God, right? And just think of it that way. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails.
That's beautiful.
Well, you could have it cross-stitched up and put on a throw pillow. You could probably buy one, actually.
That'd be a big pillow, but yeah.
Yeah, right. So there you go, Jack. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. That's the title of today's show. What is love? Baby, don't. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So what is love? Love is Dad. And if you want to read that again for yourself, there's a variety of translations that are all beautiful. 1 Corinthians chapter 13. It is a beautiful rendition of the characteristics of love. And again, you can just as easily introduce and read it that God is patient, God is kind, God does not envy. And here's even a better one. Well, put that there first. And then, as you begin to grow, do it this way. I am patient, I am kind, I do not envy, I do not boast, I am not proud, I do not dishonor others. I am not self-seeking. I am not easily angered. I keep no record of wrongs. I do not delight in evil, but rejoice with truth. I always protect, trust, hope, and persevere. When you can say that as an affirmation and have it be true,
Yeah.
yeah. But I strive for it, right? Personally, I mean, these are again reminders, and I
Well, at the end of the day, if you do something nice for someone you care about, and you see the joy pop out of their eyes, that makes you happy. That's fulfilling. That's that pure love he's talking about. Because then they want to do something not out of obligation, because they want to see that in your eyes and get that same feeling. And that's how you make that circuit.
and I'm going
But
to
it doesn't mean it can work with every single person. I get that. But
I'll
you have
challenge though what you just said because that's familiar to us, right? If you do something for someone you love and you see this look in their eye and you're like, yeah, that's awesome. And then what Jesus said is, if you do someone for someone you love, right? Of what benefit is that? Everyone does that. What he said is, do to those who hate you, right? Be kind
now
to
you're
those.
back to that lady showing up your door.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, right? He says, what of what benefit? How good? Why do you think you're any good if you do good to those who are good to you? Everyone does
I
that.
love it. I caught the Great Baldini with Jesus's words. I love
Everyone does that, right? But this is what you should do, right?
Yeah.
Pray for those who despitefully use you. Love those who persecute you, right? Be kind to those who harm you. That is the character. That's the characteristic of love, and that is where we all go, "Wow, how could you do that? Is that
That's where we're all failing. Yep.
right?"
Yep,
And you
that's
go,
a huge.
"Oh my God, this is impossible. How could you ever do this?" And I'm telling you, it is supernatural, but it only comes through the relationship with Dad, because when you're connected to Him, it flows through you, and you get His heart, and you understand it. His heart is that same way for you. We're awful, right? We do all these terrible things, and we're just such assholes, right? And so he should just he should blow us up. He should have done it a long time ago, but he doesn't. Why? Because He's patient and long suffering, and He wants that no one should perish, right? So He gives us ample opportunity to turn around and go, hey, wait a minute, maybe there is something to this. And so this is my encouragement.
What?
Whoa.
Baldini with the grand slam home run, bringing it all home. I love it.
But no, this is my encouragement though for people.
It's awesome.
Is if you want that hole in your heart filled, and those moments of being alone, even in a crowd, to be you want your heart full, go to Dad and let Him fill your heart, right? Just open your arms and say, please help, right? Please show me who you are. I'm so thirsty for love. He'll answer, because that's who He is, right? He made all of this because He wants to be in relationship with you. He loves who you are. He thinks you're beautiful. I mean, fuck, He even thought I was beautiful, right? I mean, that takes some doing. Right, so either He's nuts or He's all love, and that's what I got to say is that if He can love me, then for sure He's going to love you, right? So if you ask, you will receive. So that's what
You know how many times I say to him, really, there was no one else available? Why are you asking me to do this? You saw what I did last month. I mean, come on, there's no one available. Okay, but that's just it. He sees something in each one of us, everyone in this chat room. He saw something in every one of you because you're here. Otherwise, you'd be asleep like everyone else wearing something on your face. You're awake. I don't know why you're awake. That's your path. But you find out why, because it's not just to do nothing. And that doesn't mean you have to go out with signs and pitchforks. I don't agree with that. But everyone has their own way of doing things. And this is mine, and Baldini's got his. And I just think it's just so wonderful that I actually get to participate in whatever this is we're in.
Well, just so you know, you're on probation. So if you fuck up a couple more times, you're going to get benched. But no, I'm just kidding.
Dang it.
I'll give you a hard time. I do this because I love Him, right? That's what friends do. I speak kindly to those who I don't know, and I speak ill of those I love. No. It's a buddy of mine in Salt Lake City, Wes, and great drummer, played music with him. He's outstanding, but we would just call each other the filthiest names every time we'd see each other. People would go, what the hell? because we love each other, right? Because I don't know, we're just crazy like that. But I do love you, my friend, Ceiling Fan Man. I've loved the times that we've got to spend together and the calls that we've had. And I thank you so much for joining me tonight and helping me explore these ideas, because I think if you're here and you're listening, right, you can see that we don't know, right? We don't have it all figured out for sure, right? So, gosh, we're just trying to figure it out and go, man, these are the things that we struggle with, right? This is what he asked of us, is to be love. And we're not good at it, but he is. And the more that we can allow him to work in and through us, then the better chance we have of learning who he is, and to one, feel his love, and two, pass that on to others. And I know that I'm embarrassingly doing a crappy job of it. I see every day where I could have done better. On the other hand, I do see times where I do better, right? And so people respond to that, and it's miraculous, right? There's such joy in seeing the result of people responding positively to love and positively to, when I say, hey, send me notes and let me pray for you, and I do, and things work out. Man, there's nothing like it. It fills my spirit, and so I have come to have. You guys are beautiful, right? It's just, I love you, from, But Big Bear and David Reif and, Lung Yov and Fox Bear and all you guys that keep coming back, because I know that we're all the same. We just want to know and be known, and love and be loved, right? And Dad's got us, and we're all drawn together because we all know the same guy who is our creator, who loves us deeply. And hopefully we get to see him real soon, because this place sucks. It sucks balls, and not in a good way, right? So Flat Accord Music, you are late, man. I'm going to throw some tunes at you here in a moment.
Okay, real quick, I'll just say this before I go then.
Yep.
The fact that anyone is in here means he woke you up. So you got to feel better about yourself. He chose you. You can't argue that. He chose you to wake up. So that's right there has got to get your self-esteem through the roof. God picked you. So now what do you do with it? You got to figure that out. That's part of the path. But you're in these rooms and you're talking to people. So just keep going on your spiritual search and keep talking to him, because he's there to talk to you and he'll listen to you. And there's your love. It's sitting right outside the door. And so many of us feel alone right now. That's what they want. But don't let them beat you down, because we're supposed to get worn out and we can't stop. That's what the enemy wants. So fight him back with love. Find your spiritual connection to God and armor up. Gird up your loins. All these things come from the Bible. And if you're having trouble right now, get into Psalms. There's some really good things in there, make you feel better. And then I guess that's about it. And just do your best to get self-sufficient and stay strong in the Lord, because he's got this. At the end of the day, it's his plan. At the end of the day, it's all under his control. So it might get bumpy of a ride. It might get, I don't know, scary or whatever, but we got to keep that faith. We got to find that faith that Abraham had. And
are you high right? Are you high right now?
Man, anyways, I love you all. I love you all.
He's not going to answer.
Thank you for inviting me. I love the opportunity to talk to anyone that'll listen, and God bless you all.
Nice save. I love you, dude.
Not in a prison. Yeah.
Oh, man. Not in a prison way. That's right. Oh, man. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for coming tonight and being a part of this. It's so great to see each and every one of you here. It warms my heart when I see you guys, and just the care and compassion you have for each other. I see, I can't always watch during the streams, but I do monitor the chats afterwards. I don't listen to the program because I just can't. It's awkward and embarrassing, but I do watch the chat, and I skip through it, and you guys are awesome, man, and so funny. I was watching the chat, oh god, from Unintended Consequences yesterday, and you guys are hilarious. Oh man, sometimes I wish I could just like hang out in the chat and listen to somebody else. Right? Oh, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being a part of this amazing group. And yeah, you know what? I want to add this real quick is that we kid around about our poppy cult, right? And it being a cult. Earlier this evening, I was watching a YouTube video of if you remember back a number of years, Heaven's Gate, the group that was going to go get taken by the Hale-Bopp comet, truly a cult, and they all ended up wearing Nikes and offing themselves, and they made a video. Each of them kind of said their thing beforehand, and that's like a real cult. Well, it's funny. Even the very first interview, the very first one, they called out televangelist. I was like, right on. They went after like Jim Bakker. So that was awesome. Anyway, because even those culty people knew that those guys were frauds. Anyway, but it was so sad to see, that what they really wanted is love, and they thought they got some little bit of it. And they were willing to give up their lives for it. And I thought, how frightful, right? That we're not willing to. People out there aren't even willing to give up the fear of embarrassment for love and for doing the right thing. And these people, while badly misguided, were willing to give their lives for a bad caricature of love. No, man, go to Dad. That's the real thing. And I just don't ever want to see anything. As much as I kid around about the cult and stuff, I don't ever want to see anything like that again, where people are. Well, we see it all around us, right? We get 99% of the world that are being led to just as bad a death or worse. And thank you for being here. And I just want to adjure everybody, right, to find Dad and get that love in your heart, and then everything else is going to be okay. The world is shit. We agree. It's fucked up bad, right? That's not Dad's fault. That's the enemy's fault because he wants you to suffer. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. You don't got to suffer, right? Trust Dad. He's got.
And if things happen and you're starting to suffer, remember, who are you going to cry out to? Are you going to curse God because it's happening when you know He's not doing it? He's allowing it to happen. And what do you do with that? Are you going to get stronger, or are you going to be the victim? So hopefully you find your faith and you find your strength in God, and you'll go through it. And He promises you that. So, yeah, it's a test. That's why we're here.
Yeah. Well, and Fox Bear says, give me 1 acre and some water and I'll do it. Yeah, sure. But frankly, I like the relationships. Give me 30 people and 20 acres. And we'll make a life of it, right? So I don't want to just survive. I want to thrive, right?
Right.
For a minute.
It's not about location. It's about your heart.
Bingo, yeah. Right? It's not about the location. To me, it's about the people and relationships. And yeah, I could do it alone, but I want to be with the people. I want to be in relationship in the same way. That's why Dad made us to be in a relationship. So here I am.
You want the heart to heart.
There you go. With Ceiling Fan Man. That's why I'm going east, because Ceiling Fan Man is. No, I'm kidding. No, dude, I love you, man. I'm coming to see you next weekend, I promise. In fact, good time to say this. I think we're going to take next week, we're going to take a week off of Sola Scriptura. I think the rest of the streams will go as usual, but next week, take a week off of Sola Scriptura because I'm going to be hanging out at Ceiling Fan Man's house. So. Screw you all. No, I'm just kidding. No, I might even do one from out there. I don't know, but I'm just setting it up now. So taking a week off. There you go. Anyway, that's what I've got for tonight. It's just, what is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Well, that ain't gonna. He loves you, and he doesn't want to see you hurt. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Let's see. I'll throw this at you. This is going to be 1994. Streams in the Desert. My brother, I'm going to drop you now. I'll call you right back in a minute. And then I got a couple other people to call before I go to bed.
God bless.
Have a great night. And yeah, you guys are awesome. So this one's called, let's see, Streams in the Desert. And kind of apropos for the evening. So we'll see you again soon. I'll be back Tuesday morning with Rose 777. of Poppycock Report Tuesday and Thursday, and then back next Saturday as well. But taking next Sunday evening off to hang out with the Ceiling Fan Man. So there you go. Thanks everybody for joining us, and it's always a pleasure. Take care of one another, right?